Hey guys, it's me, Mr. 250, and welcome back to Banshee's Last Cry. Now you may be here wondering, Mr. 250, what happened to Banshee's Last Cry? Well, a few things. One, I was sick, and two, my phone basically died. Now, more details on the phone dying. I'll try to make this somewhat simplified. I had an issue with my phone. It wasn't working like a normal phone, could do other things, but not like, make calls, which is kind of important. And I had to get it reset, which unfortunately messed up with my recording software because I have to have the phone jailbroken. And after, I don't know, maybe 5 hours of working on it and looking up solutions and a lot of more work, I finally have it together, and we should be able to continue our adventure. Now, one small thing to say, I'm actually having to run my phone on a developer's version of an update, so it's kind of like a beta update. That's the only way I could get it to record. So if any weird glitches or stuff happen, just be aware that that might happen. And with that being said, let's begin. So we finished the Banshee chapter, or they like to call it the occult chapter last time. Now we're going to move on to some more of these kind of joke endings. And, let's see. So yeah, let's start with this one. And I don't think this name is spoilerish, so we're going to it's called a Banshee Reunion. And maybe you'll see why. So we start off here, and Grace asks us, well, are you tired? And we say, no way, I'm just getting started. Alright, want another run? Huh? You want to go again? I hadn't thought that she was seriously going to suggest that, so I was already regretting my bravado. Well, I didn't say you were just... Didn't you say you were just getting started? Grace flashed a mocking smile at me. Well, okay, but just one more time, I said with a sigh. Ooh, look at that. That is a beautiful picture. Look at that. Oh, you can't even move it out of the way, hardly. We took another run down the mountain, and, unsurprisingly, Grace wanted to go again. I refused, and so we decided to call it a day. By the time we arrived back at the inn, the sun had set and the snow had started to fall. And the name of the place was the Snowflake Inn. It had a log cabin exterior and an elegantly done interior decorated in shades of off-white. Trying to see if any of this is different. I think some of this is a bit different. Let's see. Y'all did some serious skiing out there. Actually, I wanted to keep going, Grace said. She gave me a sideways glance. I shrugged my shoulders but didn't say anything. Okay, I think this might be different. You, come on, Tiffany? The girls were laughing and talking about something. So which one do you like best? The one right in front of me, Grace. Yeah, sure. It's true, look into my eyes. There, you see? You can only see yourself in there, right? Oh, Max, you're embarrassing me. So, then I spotted a smartphone in the corner of the lounge, so we can either say, I kept staring at Grace, suppressing the urge to go play with it, or, whoa, hey, there's a smartphone over there. I walked towards it, forgetting all about Grace. This is another one of the things that just makes me feel like I can just feel Junpei right here. Oh, Max, Grace chided disapprovingly. I wonder whose it is. Let's see what apps he's got on it. Banshee's Last Cry? You shouldn't mess with other people's phones, Grace said. Besides, that sounds pretty scary. Hey, if you get scared, you can just go over there. Oh, you're so mean. Alright, I'll just grit my teeth and bear it. I tapped a finger on the Banshee's Last Cry icon. Hey, it's asking me to type some names in. What name should I use? Why don't you just use ours? Okay, Max, Grace, and then after I type the names in, the screen changed to a ski slope. It's my first time snowboarding, but somehow I managed to make it to the bottom of the hill, where I collapsed heavily in the snow. I'm exhausted. I wonder if anyone else can see where this is going. What the heck? That's like us, Grace whispered to herself in surprise. Yeah, you're right. As I continued the game, the coincidences gradually got weirder and weirder. We took another run down the mountain and then, surprisingly, Grace wanted to go again. I refused, so we decided to call it a day. By the time we arrived back at the inn, the sun had set and the snow had started to fall. The name of the place was the Snowflake Inn. And then, whoa, hey, there's a smartphone over there. I walked towards it, forgetting all about Grace. Oh, Max, wonder whose it is. Let's see what apps he's got in it. Banshee's Last Cry? Hey, what the heck is with this game anyway? I was starting to get more and more creeped out. How could all of these details, even the name of the inn we were staying at, be the same? As if under a spell, I tapped on the icon. To save us a little bit of time. What the heck? That's like us, Grace whispered to herself in surprise. Yeah, you're right. As I continued the game, the coincidences got gradually weirder and weirder. Hey, what the? That's exactly what we said. My hand holding the phone began to tremble. This is really scaring me, Max. Can you just stop? Yeah, but isn't quitting in the middle even scarier? I want to play it to the end. We took another run down the mountain, and unsurprisingly, Grace wanted to go again. The name of the place was Snowflake Inn. Whoa, there's a smartphone over there. Oh, Max. I wonder whose that is. Let's see what apps they've got on it. Banshee's Last Cry? What's with this game anyway? I was starting to get more and more creeped out. How could these details all be the same? As if under a spell, I tapped on the icon. I found myself staring, mesmerized as I played through the game, making different choices as myself. What the heck? That's just like us. What the? That's exactly what I said. Yeah, but isn't quitting in the middle even scarier? I had already half expected it, but the Max and Grace in the game were repeating our real-life conversations. It was as if someone had eavesdropped on us and just thrown our words directly into the game. And on top of that, there was a game within the game, and then a game within that, and so on. It was like infinite regress, when you have two parallel mirrors facing each other, and they just keep reflecting over and over and over and over and over. Had we somehow wandered into a world of infinity with no escape? The game where I was playing me continued. We took another run down the mountain. The name of the place. Oh, look, the phone. Hey, what the heck is this game? I'm getting creeped out. I played through making choices as myself. Resignedly, I watched as I once again appeared in the game within a game. It's the first time snowboarding, but I managed to make it to the bottom of the hill where I collapsed heavily in the snow. Oh, I'm exhausted. Max and Grace returned to the inn as usual. Then they change their clothes and come down to the lounge, where Max sees a smartphone. And now, of course, he's going to tap the Banshee's Last Cry icon again. Hey, instead of playing this game, let's just talk, Grace said. I nodded, thinking I'd had enough of this. Yeah, okay. Huh? A gasp of surprise escaped unexpectedly from my mouth. The other guests had also gathered in the lounge. There was the short, bald, chubby businessman and his wife, along with 3 young girls. Howdy, the name's Banshee. I run a little company down in Texas. The short, chubby guy surprised me when he introduced himself. Huh? Your name is Banshee? That's funny. My last name is almost the same. It's Banshee. Max Banshee. How about that? We're practically kinfolk. Come on then, Mr. Banshee. Let's have a drink to celebrate. Hey, Billy boy, bring us some beer. Now, make a whiskey, would you? A young woman and a mysterious man with black glasses joined us, and it turned into a nice little party. That's so funny. My family's Irish. Our last name is Banshee. I'm from Germany, and my name is Banshee. We all got drunk before long and had a ball in the lounge. It was a night to remember. We laughed so hard that we cried. Cry of the Banshees. The end. What the heck? Is this game making fun of us? Angrily, I pressed the sleep button on the smartphone. This is ridiculous. I pressed the sleep button on the smartphone. I've had enough of this. I switched off the smartphone. I sat there dumbfounded, watching Mies turn off the smartphones, one after another. It was almost as if I was being controlled by someone else. I felt my own thumb reaching for the button. I tried to resist but couldn't. With a light click, the screen went black. Suddenly, I was overcome with the sensation that I was being watched. I turned around. Then, at the last second I saw it, through a brown-colored tunnel, I saw a thumb reach out, and connected to that thumb that was another me. That one's a fun one, isn't it? I hope you guys like that. I find that one interesting, and I have a friend who introduced me to this game originally. They told me that is their favorite ending. And I don't even know if you'd call it a joke ending now that I think about it. It's kind of like an odd ending, but it's a nonsensical maybe? I don't know. It's a fun one though. Alright, we have one more we're going to be doing tonight. I'm not sure how long this is going to take, but we got to go back to the beginning, and we will be skimming somewhat. So, we start with No Way, we're just getting started, and Well Okay, yet again. Keep skipping through, we just saw this. Alright, so here instead of saying the one right in front of me, Grace, we say, what do you mean? I wasn't looking at them like that. My excuses were interrupted by the cuckoo clock on the wall, signaling 7 o'clock. Dinner is ready, so if you'd all like to come to the dining room, said a voice. Almost as if he'd been waiting for the clock to chime. Mr. Forrest appeared. Normally I wouldn't be interested in eating this early, but thanks to the hard day on the slopes, I was famished. In fact, it took all my self-control to stop myself from jumping up and running into the dining room. We entered the dining room and sat at a table. Just as we did, we noticed the strange woman sitting at the end. She was wearing a sexy red micro miniskirt with a cute little fringe that helped show off her white fuzzy legs. The orange pumps she had on were a good color match, although her hooves seemed to fit poorly in them. Her face, adorned with 2 yellowish horns extending from her forehead, was expertly made up with purple eyeshadow that accentuated her horizontal pupils. Her beard, hanging down below her snout, was tied up in a giant polka-dotted ribbon. Who's that woman? Grace asked, sounding slightly creeped out. Weird, isn't it? I agreed. That skirt is way too short for a middle-aged woman. Those shoes don't go with that outfit at all. That's not the problem. Grace put her head in her hands and banged it on the table. Then she went on in an angry whisper. I'm asking if that guy is transsexual. Transsexual? I answered back in a loud voice. The woman must have heard me because I heard a low, husky voice from the corner of the room. Oh, that's bad. I am so offended. For your information, I happen to be a goat, thank you very much. Anyone else getting a little bit of a weird vibe from this whole thing other than, what we've already seen? She's right, Grace. One has to do with gender dysphoria. The other has to do with domesticated mammals. You should really apologize. I'm sorry. I hope this would teach Grace not to judge a book by its cover. Just as I was considering Grace's emotional and spiritual sensitivity, the food came. First was some kind of soup called miso shiru or miso horny or something. I think it got that name because it was supposed to be an aphrodisiac of some sort. Miso is a traditional Japanese dish, dummy. Grace rolled her eyes at me and shook her head. The next dish was Cajun frog legs. I wonder if we're supposed to eat this with a fish fork, asked Grace. I thought for a few seconds. Well, it's a reptile, so... No, wait, it's an amphibian. So, yeah, I guess that a fish fork would be, right? Huh? Oh yeah, reptiles are basically like fish, so they're definitely amphibians too. Grace jumped right into her frog, no pun intended. It's a good thing that she was raised with proper table manners, I thought to myself. Finally, they served the main dish, steak. Delicious, Grace said, as she bit into the steak. I tried a bite too. It was a flavor I'd never tasted before. It was nice and fatty, though surprisingly mild, with a lingering aftertaste. What kind of meat is this? I'm not sure. Abby? I called to Abby who was serving the food. Yes? Can I help you? What kind of meat is this? As soon as I asked, her face went pale. I wondered if I said something wrong. Oh, it's not like I'm complaining or anything. It's really delicious, so I was just wondering what kind of meat it was. Taken by surprise, I nervously tried to explain myself, but she just looked away and ran into the kitchen. What's wrong with her? Grace asked in a puzzled tone. Beats me. Weird, huh? All I did was ask her what kind of meat it was. Well, I decided not to give it any more thought. It tasted good, and that's what matters. Who cares? It's delicious. Should we go? Yeah, I guess so. Everyone else was gathered in the lounge. Wait, it wasn't everyone. Where's that chick with the red miniskirt? I asked. She said something about fixing her makeup and went back to her room, Mr. Force replied. Fixing that thick pancake makeup was going to be a major chore, I thought. Just then, all the lights suddenly went out. Eek! The screams of the girls merged together in the pitch darkness. Don't panic, everyone. Colleen, grab some candles. Right away. I sensed Colleen standing up and shuffling carefully off somewhere. 5 minutes later, she returned with a handful of lit candles. I'm all prepared. To my utter shock, Colleen was wearing black fishnet stockings, black leather boots and stiletto heels, and a tight black leather bondage suit. She was carrying a whip along with the candles. Colleen, I just wanted the candles! Yes, of course. What was I thinking? Colleen put the candles on the table and disappeared into the darkness. The face of everyone around the table was lit by the flickering glow of the candles, making it seem like some kind of sinister satanic gathering. Listen, this really happened to my friend's sister. In a quiet, serious voice, Tiffany suddenly launched into her story. She was doing bad in her math class, so she had to go to summer school to catch up. Everyone was listening intently, hanging on Tiffany's every word. At some point, Colleen had come back. One day, the kids were allowed to go home after they finished their work, but my sister's friend was the last one left in the room. Then something terrible happened. Oh, I heard someone swallow nervously. After she finally finished her work, she went to the bathroom. She'd been holding it in all day, and she knew she wouldn't be able to make it home without going, but what? The stall she went into didn't have any toilet paper! Eek! Oh my god! So, she had to use one of her old worksheets, and ever since, that place has been known as the Haunted Stall. After hearing that chilling story, everyone just sat there in stony silence. Just then, I heard a scream coming from the guest room. I couldn't tell if it was from a man or a woman. What was that? Mr. Forrest took a candle and started to head towards the rooms. Several of us followed him. Mr. Jones? Was that you, Mr. Jones? Mr. Forrest called out, his voice trembling. Could the scream have come from her? Mr. Forrest knocked on the door. Is something wrong? Oh, Miss Jones, never mind. The door was unlocked. Mr. Forrest slowly opened it. The inside of the room was pitch black. He shuffled slowly inside, candle held out in front of him. Then, by its faint light, he stumbled across something lying in the ground. Legs! 2 rear legs straight in the air, still wearing bright red pumps. I had to avert my eyes because her udder was in plain sight. I can't do it anymore, it's too much. Oh. If anyone else is turned off by this, I'm sorry. It's the absurdity of it all. It's kind of humorous to me. The lights came back on. Eek! The girl simultaneously let out an ear-splitting scream. Miss Jones had changed into a red evening dress. I could see dappled fur underneath the low-cut dress, and her stockings did nothing to hide her prominent black tail. Her eyes, heavily made up with purple eyeshadow that resembled a bruise, were frozen open in a look of surprise. Is she dead? Grace asked no one in particular in a hushed whisper. Mr. Forrest carefully approached the body. He put his hands on her shoulders and gave her a shake. Hello? Are you alright? There was no reaction. It looked like she was dead, but was she murdered, or perhaps... It was then I noticed that she was clutching a blood-smeared, rolled-up sheet of paper with a rubber band around it in between her front hooves. What is that thing? Maybe a final message? I was suddenly struck by a thought. It couldn't be. What is it, Max? A rubber band around a sheet. Band, sheet, band, sheet, Banshee! Huh, this mystery was too easy. No, someone had been murdered. This was no time for patting myself on the back. I slowly looked around at everyone's face. Okay, typically in these cases, the murderer is someone right here in the room. With every ounce of her dying strength, the victim somehow pointed to the murderer's true identity. Let's all gather in the lounge. We need to figure this thing out. Once we were settled in the lounge, I took my time gazing deeply into the eyes of everyone there. Glancing around, I saw someone trying to sneak out of sight. He was wearing all black, his face covered in a ski mask. In his hand was a large bloody knife. I had never seen him before. Excuse me, I asked in a loud voice. Your name is... With all the attention suddenly focused on him, he seemed to become flustered and answered falteringly. Huh? Who, me? Let me guess. Judging by that knife, I'd say it's obvious. That's right. You must be the fishmonger. No, actually, I followed after that guy and... Stop. You don't need to say another word. Delivering fresh fish can't be an easy task in the snowstorm. Obviously, that explains the ski mask. In fact, I think that explains all of it. I think we can safely exclude this man from our list of suspects. After all, why would a fishmonger, so dedicated to his job, kill one of the guests here? Now then, the actual killer must be from the people remaining. We need to see who has an alibi during the time Miss Jones was killed. But everyone was here when we heard her scream, Grace said. I shook my head. No, the lights were out when it happened, so any one of us could have easily snuck upstairs without being noticed. Well, I was certainly here, Mr. Forrest said obstinately. After all, I was the one who went upstairs with the candle. Good point. We can exclude Mr. Forrest. Well, we've been all here together this whole time, right? Yeah, that's right. The three girls chirped noisily like hungry baby birds. Alibis from friends or wives can't be trusted. Does anyone else here know that you girls were here the whole time? Two hands shot up eagerly into the air. Bobby's and Abby's. Alright, so you two can back up these girls' alibis? After checking one alibi after another, I discovered, oddly, that everyone had an alibi that checked out. This is strange. We can only logically conclude that no one had the opportunity to kill Miss Jones. Just then, the black-clad fishmonger interrupted. I'm trying to tell you that since you're not involved in this, I'd appreciate it if you kept quiet while I apply some deductive reasoning to the situation. Deductive reasoning, huh? Do you have any ideas so far? Of course I do. The killer used some kind of device. Yeah, that's the ticket. It was a device. What kind of device? Give me a few minutes. I'll come up with something. When we heard the scream, we were all in the lounge. In other words, it was a long-distance murder. Long-distance murder? Precisely. The murderer was here in this room while he killed Miss Jones and hers. Yeah, but how? Well, for example, he could have secretly tied a string around Miss Jones's neck and stretched it all the way out here. Then, timing it to the coincidence with a blackout, he pulled as hard as he could. But if there hadn't been a blackout, then we would have easily spotted the string. Well, the killer is clearly responsible for the blackout, Mr. Forrest added matter-of-factly. But the door was closed. I had no counter-argument to that. Okay, let's change the way we're thinking about this. Miss Jones left a dying message that was meant to say Banshee. If we can figure out who that refers to, we'll know who the killer is. That's what I've been trying to... The annoying fishmonger once again interrupted, so I fixed him with an icy stare. Naturally, there's no one here by that name, but perhaps there's something about the way that they look that resembles a banshee. How would someone resemble a banshee? Well, you know, like maybe they have red eyes or something. I looked around, but there didn't seem to be anyone like that. What? Hold on. Suddenly, Bobby and Abby raised their voices at the same time. I've heard of them. It was like some kind of hysterical stereo. Banshees are Irish fairies with huge mouths. They travel in threes. This time, there was pleased harmony as their voices synced. All eyes turned to the three young girls. Hey, wait a second, Molly shouted angrily. Are you saying we killed them? If that's what you think, then I've got something to say too. Your eyes look pretty red to me. What? I didn't sleep well, that's all. You've got a big mouth, you know, Abby replied crossly. Big, weird mouth? Why, you... It seemed that we had veered off course a bit. Enough, you two. Right now, the real problem is finding a killer. Shut up, it's none of your business. As both of them were now screaming at me, I decided the wisest move would be just to ignore the fact that they were shooting death rays at each other with their eyes. Okay, maybe who resembles and who doesn't resemble is too hard to figure out. So let's go at it from another angle. Chase Buchanan backwards is Buchanan Chase. Shorten that and you get Buche. Sounds pretty close to Banshee, doesn't it? Yeah, that is close, said Grace. Come on now, sonny boy. That's a mighty big stretch, Mr. Buchanan replied defensively. Suddenly, the fishmonger began to yell, Shut up! Shut up! Let me talk! For a moment, a hushed silence descended over the lounge. What do you think you're doing yelling at us like that? Shut up! Can't you even see what I'm wearing? I did it! I stabbed her to death with this big knife! Come on. This is no time for stupid jokes, Mr. Fishmonger. I'm not a fishmonger. I grabbed this knife from the kitchen to kill her with. So, you're not a fishmonger, huh? Well, you sure look like one to me. How do you figure I look like a fishmonger? Are you blind? I'm a bartender, if you must know. But why would you kill her? I asked nervously. The fishmonger cast his eyes down sadly. That girl, she tricked me. She came to my bar alone one night. We got to talking over some alfalfa, and I fell in love with her. I heard gasps from several people. But she didn't say one word about it. She didn't tell me that she was a he. Oh, Grace was right, huh? Guess that wasn't an udder after all. Couldn't you tell just by looking at her? Well, I didn't think a man could be that beautiful. I know. I was a fool. Beautiful? Well, beautiful to a certain very desperate kind of farmer, I guess. But I still love her. Francesca. The fishmonger, all right, the bartender, dropped his knife on the ground and began to sob. I was shocked. So it was kind of a tragic Shakespearean love story, precisely as I deduced. Say what? But there's one thing I just still don't understand. What was that dying message referring to anyway? That was my name. Your name? Everyone looked up in surprise. Yeah, my name is Ben. Ben Sheen. My friends call me Banshee. Ah, so my mistake was not guessing in that it might be a name. Outside, the snow continued to fall harder and harder. Ben Sheen was slumped on the floor, weeping silently. This has been the most difficult case for me to solve, and also the most tragic. I'm going to call this Goats of the Patriots. Just then, I heard a voice from the stairs. Oh my, are y'all having a little soiree? I turned around and saw, coming from the direction of the guest rooms, the supposedly dead Miss Jones. Ah, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death. Francesca, forgive me. What are you praying for all of a sudden? That's creepy, jeez. First there's a blackout, then someone bumps into me in the dark. Bump? I asked after I recovered myself. So, you just got bumped, that's all? No, I didn't just get bumped. I was knocked backwards and slammed my head in the corner of the bed. I've got a big lump on it now. Miss Jones fixed her wig between her horns, and then rubbed the back of her head. So, what about the knife? I asked confusedly. Knife? I don't know anything about that. But now that you mention it, my Gucci handbag is all ripped up. That explained it. In the dark, he had stabbed the bag instead of Miss Jones. But that blood! Just as I was about to go on, Mr. Force picked the knife up off the floor and examined it closely. Oh, hey, this is my knife. The one I use for butchering my chickens. Chicken blood? So the blood in the packet of sheets was chicken blood too? Grace began to laugh. Now that I think about it, it doesn't make any sense. How could Miss Jones have written a dying message with the killer's name when she couldn't have seen the killer's face in the dark? That was some pretty messed up deduction. I couldn't argue with that. Francesca, you're alive? You're really, truly alive? That voice, is that you, Ben? Miss Jones bleated, her voice quivering with emotion. What are you doing here? Ben tore off his ski mask and ran to her. I was wrong. Please, let's try this again. What? But I'm not even a real woman. You're more of a real woman than anyone I've ever... Overcome with emotion, neither could speak. They just stared at each other silently for a few moments. Francesca, you're all that I want. Benny! Francesca! Still looking into each other's eyes, their lips slowly came together. We all looked away, wanting to give them their privacy. I didn't want to see exactly what happened next, but the noise that reverberated through the end was something like the sound you hear when you use a plunger to clear a clogged toilet. Now that I have to change the name to this case to Triumph of the Ruminants. So you might be thinking, what the heck was that crap? And, I don't think you'd be quite wrong. I mean, it's definitely weird. I'll give you that. It's definitely weird and very odd. But I think it's a funny one. So anyway, that was Triumph of the Ruminants. I actually don't know what ruminant means. Hold on. Basically, it means Triumph of the Goats. I mean, it could mean a lot of things, but in this situation, it means Triumph of the Goats. So yeah, that's an interesting one. And with that, we're going to be done for today. Let's see, we've got another ending. I'm actually not familiar with that one. Let me look around this a bit. Okay, this next chapter is called, there's 3 endings in it. It's called the Code Chapter. And, I honestly don't remember what the first 2 are, but I remember the last one. That'll be fun. And then, once we do that, we are on to the video game chapters, which should be fun. So anyway, I'm sorry I had to take a break for a couple days. I only just barely got this thing fixed today. I was at the point where I was about to turn this into a snapshot LP. Like, it was that bad I wasn't going to be able to get it to work. But I hope you guys enjoyed it nonetheless, and next time we'll come back and continue on with our story after today's really odd sequence of events. See you guys next time. Hey guys, it's me, Mr. 250, and welcome back to Banshee's Last Cry. Now you may be here wondering, Mr. 250, what happened to Banshee's Last Cry? That's kind of weird. I thought I just finished with this episode. Oh well. Well, a few things. 1, I was sick, and 2, my phone basically died. Now, more details on the phone dying.